Hi everyone, welcome back to Islam Unboxed. Today I will be talking about one particular hadith that I found interesting. And by interesting means questionable and doesn't make sense. Let us read together the hadith from Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 3366. Narrated Abu Dar. I said, O Allah's Messenger, which mosque was first built on the surface of the earth? He said, Al-Masjid Al-Haram in Mecca. I said, which was built next? He replied, the Mosque of Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. I said, what was the period of construction between the two? He said, 40 years. I will stop there. So, the first mosque was built, and then the second mosque in Jerusalem was built. The period of between the two is 40 years. This doesn't make sense, right? Why? Because Muhammad, first time he received a revelation was in year 609. He died in year 632. It means he was preaching Islam for 23 years. So this and that doesn't make sense. How could he preach Islam for 23 years? And then if he was preaching Islam for 23 years, how could he see two constructions with a period of 40 years between the two? Doesn't make sense. Unless if the first mosque, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, was built before Islam, was built before Muhammad received the first revelation. So it means Masjidul Haram was built by the pagans. And then Muslims took over the mosque as they took over Kaaba. Right? And that makes sense. So it means Masjid Al-Haram was at minimum was built in year 592. 17 years before Muhammad received the first revelation. And then Muhammad died in year 632. This will give us 40 years. Then this makes sense. Or I will give another explanation. What might be the case, right? Another explanation is, see this Sahih? Sahih means authentic, but it's not authentic. This hadith is weak or da'if. But if the hadith is da'if or weak, why would they say this hadith is sahih? Why? Do you know why? Because of this. This is the answer. Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. This is what they want. The hadith was a made-up hadith. The hadith was supposed to be a supporting hadith on Al-Aqsa, so Muslims have rights, have claim over Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. Because without this hadith, then and this hadith also actually to support another hadith regarding Isra Miraj, the night journey, when Muhammad went on flying on a flying donkey in the middle of the night, flying from Makkah to Medina to Bethlehem and then to Jerusalem and then to heaven in one single night. This hadith was supposed to be strengthening hadith regarding Isra Miraj, and also at the same time confirming their claim of Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, if not confirming their claim over Jerusalem. That's it. But either way, actually it is bad for Muslim, because it means it is the problem, right? 40 years. I don't know who wrote the hadith, actually, right? Who actually wrote this hadith? Wrote it 40 years. So it means the person who wrote it was not thinking, or the person who passed the hadith not thinking clearly, or was not that smart, I guess. But this shows that everything we read, we must digest before, and also showing that we need to read, regardless of what we believe, right? We have to read. There are some people who are not Muslim. I encourage to read things about Islam in Sunnah.com or Quran.com, so they understand more about Islam. Because sometimes people, I remember the time when Westerners they converted to Hinduism, and then another time there's a decade or 2 decades Westerners converting to Buddhism. I think if you live in the West, you see this kind of behavior. And now sometimes some Westerners, they convert to Islam, right? For fame or for something, like anything. But if it's like Muhammad Ali converted to Islam to avoid Vietnam, and then some people, they convert to Islam in they have various reasons. But sometimes people converted to Islam, they're actually sincere. They're sincerely converted to Islam. And this, when they are sincere, actually they don't see this kind of hadith, conflicting hadith, questionable hadith. There are good people make mistakes too, right? That's why this is the importance of reading. This is why it is so important for us to read, so Muslims understand and know what they believe, and other people too, non-Muslims, know what Islam is, so they don't just convert blindly. Well, that's all from me. Thank you for listening and watching. I pray to God that everybody will read and will not be ignorant. That's all my prayer, all about these days, Thank you for listening and watching. God bless you all. Have a nice life.